You ever watch two people cuddle on camera and feel like you just walked in on a hostage negotiation? That's what this was. 3 in the morning. A sleep stream that wasn't supposed to be a sleep stream. A phone that's been missing since before the club. And a woman who, depending on which minute you catch, is either arguing with the father of her child, calling on Jesus, or shouting, "Welcome to the circus," at a chat of strangers watching her hair get pulled by a toddler. Something about this doesn't add up. And honestly, I don't think it's supposed to. Y'all already know where I'm going with this. Stay with me. And listen, if you're the type who actually watches these clips twice to see what everybody else missed, hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and let me know you're locked in. Part 2 of this is basically writing itself. Before we go any further, let me set the stage the way I wish somebody had set it for me the first time I watched this clip. Because the internet is going to serve you the 40-second slice, the cuddle, the weird ass, the Jesus line, and it's going to let you think that's the whole thing. It isn't. The whole thing is a 40-plus minute broadcast on a platform that pays creators to stay live, in a room that has a toddler in it, with at least 3 other adults floating in and out of frame, and a chat that is actively spending money the entire time. If you strip out the drama and just look at the operational footprint, who's holding the camera? Who's holding the phone? Who's holding the baby? Who's holding the mic? You already have a story before anybody opens their mouth. That's the story I want to walk you through. The words are just the topping. What actually happened? Sometime in the early morning hours, Chrisean, Holy Hands Rock was mid-livestream on Kick when Blueface, Jonathan Porter, real name, came home from the club. Chrisean Malone Jr., the son, was in the room. So was the extended crew the internet's been nicknaming 2 and 3. What followed was roughly 40 minutes of the two of them arguing about a missing phone, a baby bag, a shower Chrisean allegedly doesn't remember, a 24-hour stream she allegedly didn't agree to, and whether she got a man. Then, and this is the part that made the timeline stop scrolling, they cuddled. On camera. For the chat. Let me add the connective tissue the clip strips out. According to the reposted broadcast, circulating on Kick Mirror accounts, the argument didn't start with Blueface walking in. It started roughly 20 minutes earlier, when Chrisean, half asleep, asked the room where her phone was and got 3 different answers from 3 different people. That detail matters, because by the time Blueface arrives, she's already been priming the chat with the missing phone question, which means the phone becomes the through line of the entire session. Every subsequent beat, the baby bag, the shower she doesn't remember, the 24-hour stream she says she didn't sign off on, is downstream of that first destabilizing question. Reports on the clip's spread indicate the peak concurrent viewership on Kick during the cuddle beat jumped noticeably from where the stream had been sitting an hour earlier, and mirror uploads on Instagram and X pulled in millions of additional plays within 48 hours, according to aggregator counts posted by fan pages tracking the clip. Now watch this. Because the reason this clip is spreading isn't the argument. It's what's underneath it. And underneath it is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Because on the surface, this is a domestic squabble. Underneath, it's a case study in how modern celebrity feuds are actually just distribution deals in disguise. 2 people, 1 child, 1 shared audience, and a platform that pays by the hour. Keep that in your back pocket. We'll come back to it. The raw words. Pull the exact lines and let them sit for a second before you interpret anything. Chrisean mid-groggy to Blueface. So you went to the club with no phone without me. Then, seconds later. Don't ever leave me though. That's what I'm telling you. Don't leave me. Weird ass. Direct from the stream feed. Circulating this week. Reaction. I mean, read that twice. Read it 3 times if you have to. Because the tonal whiplash inside a single breath, accusation, then abandonment plea, then insult, is not the way strangers argue. It's not even the way rivals argue. It's the way people who have been arguing the same argument for 4 years argue. There's a shorthand in it. You can hear the exhaustion of somebody who has said this exact sentence, in this exact bed, in this exact register before. And the weird ass at the end isn't venom. It's punctuation. It's the verbal equivalent of a sigh. If you've ever been around a couple that's broken up and gotten back together 6 times, you know what that sigh sounds like. Blueface, defending himself to the chat about his own crew member. So I went tripping on the She was just saying weird strings. I said, yo, give me the mic. You done for? Same broadcast. Dry response from me. Okay. Because, and this is the part one want you to hold on to, Blueface is not defending himself to Chrisean in that sentence. He's defending himself to the chat. Read it back with that framing. He's turned away from the woman he's sharing a bed with, and he's aiming his explanation at a rectangle of anonymous usernames, sending $5 subs. That is a tell. That is somebody who knows the room he's really in is not the physical room. The physical room is set dressing. Chrisean, when Blueface asks twice if she's got a man. I have a Lord and Savior. My Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. Wild. Wild and, importantly, rehearsed. Not rehearsed like she wrote it down. Rehearsed like she has said this exact phrase, in this exact cadence, on at least a half dozen prior streams this year. It's become a verbal signature. The pivot from a secular question to a scriptural answer is the exact same move you can hear in the Yahweh, live from the altar, rollout interviews. So when she deploys it in a bedroom argument at 3 a.m., she isn't reaching for it. It's already loaded. And from Complex, weeks earlier, when a different reunion clip went viral. Yeah, that was AI. Blueface reportedly told Whack 100 on stream, a claim Whack co-signed publicly. No reaction. That one speaks for itself. Actually, one small reaction, because it has to be said. The "it was AI" defense is going to age into one of the most important artifacts of this era of celebrity beef. Not because it was true. Not because it was false. Because it introduced plausible deniability as a permanent feature of the discourse. Every clip from now until forever gets to be maybe real, maybe generated, maybe both. That is a gift to anybody in the public eye who wants a trapdoor, and Blueface, through Whack, was one of the first to walk through it out loud. One more. Chrisean, from a post-24-hour stream response earlier this year, addressing the baby-hungry backlash. My son always with my mother when I'm 24-hour streaming. Half laugh. Moving on. Half laugh because, and let the record show this, the son is very visibly in the room during the Cuddle stream, which means either the policy changed, or the policy was aspirational, or the mother was unavailable that night, or the 24-hour stream. Framing is elastic enough to accommodate whatever's in front of the camera at 3 a.m. I don't know which of those is true. I know all four are possible, and I know the internet has already picked a favorite and stopped asking. Here's where you gotta zoom out, because on its own, a 3 a.m. argument is nothing. Two people who share a kid bickering after a night out? That's Tuesday. But layer this against the last 12 months, and the picture gets loud. Blueface has been home from his 4-year sentence since earlier this year. Parole hit. He walked. TMZ tracked it. Everybody moved on. Capital XDRA in the meantime. Chrisean turned into a full-blown two-lane operation. The boxing lane and the gospel lane. Holy hands. Her pro debut is booked for September 19th in Baltimore. Nearly 6,000 women applied to fight her. That's a real fight, on a real card, with a real weigh-in the day before. And I want to sit on that 6,000 number for a second, because it's the kind of stat that flies past you if you're not paying attention. 6,000 women applied. That is not a boxing statistic. That is a cultural statistic. That is the number of women in America right now who look to Chrisean Rock. The Baddies OG, the Volatile X, the woman who once got in a fistfight on a plane, and thought, I can beat her. And if I beat her, my life changes. The applicant pool is the story. It tells you that the fight isn't really about the fight. It's about the ladder the fight represents. Whoever ends up in that opposite corner on September 19th is auditioning for a career. And Chrisean is the audition. That reframes every family time clip that shows up between now and the weigh-in. She isn't just selling a ticket. She's selling the ladder. And the ladder needs somebody at the top of it worth climbing toward. Now look at the calendar collision. The Cuddle stream. The "we got the 24-hour" stream coming up. Line she seemingly didn't know was happening. Family time popping up right when the fight cycle should be peak camp. Blueface conveniently appearing in the frame with the sun right as the promo window opens. Nevaeh Kira, Blueface's current partner, mother of his 4th child. Nowhere in this stream but very much on the timeline. Let me stack the calendar for you the way I stacked it in my notes. Because when you see it all in one column, you can't unsee it. Blueface release cycle earlier in the year generated a first wave of clips. The reunion rumor, the AI defense, the whack 100 cosign. That wave peaked, then faded, the way all first waves do. Chrisean's Yahweh rollout gave the audience a second reason to tune in. But a gospel single alone doesn't sustain a kick channel. Enter the pro debut announcement, a hard date, a hard venue, a real opponent pool. That's a business anchor. That's an event you can sell against. And the moment that anchor drops, the family time content begins to intensify. Not before. After. The clips get softer. The framing gets more paternal. The toddler shows up in the frame more often. If you were a fight promoter, you would design the promo cycle exactly this way. And you would not have to tell anyone what you were doing. You would just let the cameras run and let human nature do the marketing. Actually, hold on, back up. This part is the part. Because the thing everyone's arguing about in the comments is whether she meant to cuddle. Whether he meant it. Whether they're back. That's the wrong question. The right question is who benefits when a 3 a.m. clip of the two of them tangled up on a bed goes viral 6 weeks before a boxing debut she needs to sell tickets for. The deleted post, the interview, the filing. Every one of these characters knows what a shareable frame is worth in 2026. This isn't accidental. Or it is, and they're just very lucky. Pick one. And very lucky is doing heroic work in that sentence. Because luck, in the attention economy, has a shape. It looks like a clip that runs exactly long enough to be shareable, filmed at exactly the angle that makes both parties look their best under the ring light, timed exactly to a promotional window that neither party will publicly acknowledge exists. When something is that lucky, that many times in a row, over 4 straight years, luck starts to feel like the polite word for a system. Behavioral forensics first. Watch how many times Chrisean pivots between "you weird ass" and "my lord and savior" inside the same breath. It's not a bit. It's not for the chat. She does it when the camera is pointed away, too. You can hear it. That code switch between street register and pulpit register is the entire brand now. It's what makes Yahweh, live from the altar, work as a single and what makes Holy Hands work as a fight name. She's not performing sanctification. She's rehearsing it in real time on camera. And the audience is watching a woman try to become the person she keeps saying she is. That's genuinely rare in this ecosystem. I had to sit with that one for a minute. And I want to add a layer to that observation, because I think it's the single most undercovered thing about her right now. Public sanctification arcs, the "I found God" pivot, usually happen after the audience has already turned. The rapper cleans up when the streams dip. The influencer finds faith when the sponsors leave. Chrisean is doing it in reverse. She is pivoting toward the pulpit while her secular numbers are still peaking, which means the pivot is either genuine, or it's the most sophisticated brand play in this corner of the internet, or, and this is the one nobody wants to say out loud, it's both. Genuine and strategic are not mutually exclusive. A person can mean the prayer and also know the prayer sells. Records indicate this dual register approach has already translated commercially. The boxing brand, the gospel single, and the kick channel are running in parallel and cross-pollinating each other, which is the kind of ecosystem architecture that used to require a full label services team to build. She is building it alone, on camera, at 3 in the morning, in a bed she is arguing in. Visual forensics. Notice where the camera is when the cuddle happens versus where it is when the argument starts. During the fight, it's shaky, held by whoever, too. During the tender beat, it's stabilized, tilted slightly, framed. That's not paranoia. That's what a director's eye looks like on somebody else's stream. Somebody in that room knew when to hold steady. Add to that the lighting. During the argument beats, the room reads flat and yellow, which is what a bedroom looks like at 3 a.m. under a single lamp. During the cuddle beat, there is a distinct secondary source, soft, warmer, off to the side, that flatters both of their faces at once. It could be a phone screen. It could be a ring light that got angled to hair. It could be nothing, but it is a change, and the change is timed to the beat that went viral. Camera operators call that motivated lighting. Reality TV producers call it Tuesday. Whoever's in that room, on that night, knows what a two-shot is supposed to look like, and they are, accidentally or otherwise, delivering one. And the legal adjacent one, because you can't talk about these two without it. Blueface previously said on record he'd want his ex Jaden Alexis to co-parent Chrisean Jr. if Chrisean ever lost custody, per XXL. So every family time clip that puts him in the frame with the son, calm and paternal, is also, whether he means it that way or not, a public exhibit. The internet is the discovery file now, which is not a small thing to sit with. In a prior era, the public record of a co-parenting relationship lived in emails, in text messages, in third-party affidavits. In this era, it lives on a platform that autoplays it to millions of strangers, gets clipped by fan pages, gets archived on mirror accounts, and lives forever in searchable form. Court filings show, in similar celebrity custody disputes reported across entertainment press, that public conduct on livestream has been introduced as demonstrative evidence in family court proceedings. I am not saying that will happen here. I am saying the raw material exists, is voluntarily produced, and is being generated at industrial scale by both parents on a nightly basis. Whatever the intent, that is the practical reality of streaming your household. Every cuddle is a data point. Every argument is a data point. Every weird ass is a data point. The archive is building itself. Complex ran the earlier reunion angle almost clinically. Blueface and Whack 100 claim Chrisean Rock reunion footage is AI. Straight news frame, quote forward, no editorial temperature. Hot new hip-hop leaned into the drama arc, the accusation, the counter-accusation, the 20 deep squad language, the mob-adjacent flavor. The Shade Room and Baller Alert framed it as reunion content first, treating Chrisean as protagonist and Blueface as the returning variable. And the Kick Native crowd, the actual chat, framed it as spectacle. Welcome to the circus wasn't a famed cryptics line. It was hers. And that four-way split, legacy hip-hop press, drama blog press, reality tabloid press, native platform chat, is the entire modern media map compressed into one incident. Each outlet is operating on a different clock, a different revenue model, and a different reader. Complex is writing for the archive, so it keeps a neutral tone that will read the same in 5 years. Hot New Hip Hop is writing for the daily engagement poll, so it leans into whichever verb performs. The Shade Room and Baller Alert are writing for the repost economy, which is why their captions get lifted verbatim into everyone's Instagram stories. The Kick Chat isn't writing at all. It's reacting in real time, at the frame level, and its reads are the ones that end up on TikTok 12 hours later with a jazz loop under them. If you want to understand which framing wins, don't watch the outlets. Watch which caption gets stolen the most times in the following 72 hours. That's the actual verdict. The loudest counter-narrative right now is the one that says none of this is real, that it's all rage bait, all scripted, all AI, all a bit. And I get it. When Whack 100 himself is publicly co-signing an "it was AI" defense on a separate clip, your default setting should be skepticism. Steelman. Yes, these two have a documented history of manufacturing chaos when a business cycle demands it. Yes, the phone missing / baby bag / cuddle beat plays like a sitcom cold open. And I want to Steelman it even harder, because the "it's all fake" camp isn't stupid. They're pattern matching to a real thing. Reality television, as a format, taught an entire generation how to produce spontaneity. The Kardashian playbook, the Love and Hip-Hop playbook, the Bad Girls Club playbook. Every one of them normalized the idea that an argument you're watching in real time could have been prompted by a producer 2 minutes earlier. Chrisean spent years on that circuit. Blueface's mother spent years on that circuit. The muscle memory is in the room. So when the skeptic in your feed says this is scripted, they are not being paranoid. They are being historically literate. That framing deserves respect even if it doesn't get the last word. But then dismantle it, because the sun is real, the fight card is real, the Holy Hands brand pivot is real, and the exhaustion in her voice when she says, "I go to bed early," isn't the exhaustion of an actress. Two things can be true. It can be partially staged and still be revealing. That's the trick nobody wants to admit. That's the trick. And it's the one that matters most in 2026, because partially staged and still revealing is the operational reality of almost every piece of celebrity content you consume now. The stage parts and the real parts are welded together at the atomic level. Trying to separate them is the wrong exercise. The right exercise is asking what the composite reveals about the people, about the platform, about the audience that keeps rewarding it. Gear shifting now, because none of that gets to what I actually think is happening here. The mainstream take is that Chrisean and Blueface are back, or not back, or co-parenting, or on again off again. Pick your headline. All of those framings assume this is a relationship story. It's not. This is a loyalty economics story. Follow me. Chrisean Rock in 2026 is running the most improbable rebrand in hip-hop, from reality TV volatility to gospel anthem boxing act. And the one asset she cannot afford to lose is the audience that stuck with her through the volatile years. That audience did not stay for the fight camp. That audience did not stay for Yahweh. That audience stayed for him, for the chaos, for the will they won't they, for the exact kind of 3 a.m. Cuddle argument this clip is. Let me sharpen the mechanics of that, because loyalty economics is a phrase I'm not going to leave floating. The Kick platform pays creators on a hybrid model, a base share of subscription revenue, gifted subcuts, and for top-tier partnered streamers, negotiated guarantees tied to hours streamed and viewership benchmarks, according to platform disclosures and third-party reporting on Kick's creator deals. That means a streamer of Chrisean's tier is being compensated not just for content, but for time occupied. Every hour she's live is an hour that produces a compounding return on the audience she has already earned. And audiences, on any platform, are not loyal to a person. They are loyal to a dynamic. Chrisean Solo is a person. Chrisean and Blueface is a dynamic. The dynamic is worth more per hour than the person is. That is not my opinion. That is the arithmetic the platform's payout curve enforces. So every time she says on stream, alone, that she's outgrown him, the numbers dip. And every time he appears in the frame, the numbers spike. She knows it. He knows it. Wack knows it. The chat knows it. Even the baby, at some point, is gonna know it. The bold claim, this family time, isn't reconciliation. It's a content annuity. Blueface is a recurring revenue stream. She cannot retire until the boxing brand and the gospel brand are self-sustaining. And Blueface, sitting on his own trajectory with a new partner and a fourth child on the way, needs her audience just as badly, because his solo lane, honestly, has been quiet. They are, whether either of them would ever admit it, co-signed. And a content annuity, unlike a relationship, has a maturity date. That's the part nobody wants to look at directly. There's a specific point on the calendar. Sometime after the boxing brand pays for itself. Sometime after the gospel catalog has enough entries to tour behind. Sometime after Blueface's next partner posts something the algorithm cannot ignore, where the annuity stops paying. And on that day, one of two things happens. Either both parties agree, silently, to let the format retire and each go monetize the audience they've extracted from the shared one. Or one of them tries to extend the annuity past its natural life, and the audience, which is smarter than either of them gives it credit for, punishes them for it. Watch for that day. It's coming. It's just not here yet. Sharpen jabs at the opposition read. To the it's all AI camp. Cool. Then explained the toddler pulling her hair on the way to the car. To the they're really in love camp, respectfully. Love doesn't need a ring light. To the she's using him camp. He's using her back. 2 coins, one hand. To the he's using her camp. Same coin, other hand. To the let them live camp, genuinely. The healthiest take in the room. And also the one that gets the least engagement, which kind of proves my whole point. To the this is just co-parenting camp. Co-parenting doesn't have a chat window and a gifted sub queue. To the she's manipulating him because he just came home camp, respectfully. He had a phone at the club and she had a phone in the bed and both of them chose to point it at each other. That's not manipulation. That's a joint venture. To the leave the baby out of it camp. I actually agree with you completely. And the fact that we're having to say it out loud in 2026 tells you where we are. And to the folks in the chat sending 5 sub gifts while a woman is arguing about whether she's lucid. Y'all part of the machine too. Sit with that. Sit with it for real. Because the reflex is going to be to distance yourself. I don't send subs, I just watch. But watching is the transaction. The gifted subs are the visible tip of the exchange. The invisible one is your minutes. Your minutes are what the platform sells to advertisers. Your minutes are what the platform pays the creators to harvest. So even the passive viewer, sitting silently at 3 a.m., watching a couple argue about a phone, is the resource being mined. That's not a moral judgment. It's a diagram. Look at the diagram once, and you can't stop seeing it. Closing beat on this section. The circus tent doesn't stand up on its own. Somebody's holding the pole. And right now, both of them are. Both of them are. And the pole isn't the relationship. The pole is the audience. Take the audience away, and the tent falls in one motion. Which is why, no matter how many times either of them says I'm done, neither of them ever quite lets the pole go. Watch how the next 30 days play out. Chrisean's got a fight to sell in Baltimore on September 19th, and the ticket ladder is real. 5 figures per row at the top and per the venue listing. Don't be shocked when a second Family Time clip drops within the next 2 weeks. Cleaner, softer, more shareable, and quietly attached to a Fight Week promo push. The Cuddle wasn't the payoff. The Cuddle was the trailer. And when that second clip drops, and it will, I'd stake this whole channel on it. Pay attention to the small details that separate a stumbled-into moment from a produced one. Look at the framing. Look at whether the toddler is calmly in the shot or actively pulling somebody's hair. Look at whether either adult reacts to the camera or ignores it a beat too hard. Look at the caption underneath. Look at whether Whack 100 cosigns it within 24 hours. Look at whether Nevaeh Akira posts anything at all in the same window. Each of those is a signal. Stack 4 of them in the same direction, and you've got a promo cycle. Stack 4 in different directions, and you've got a genuinely chaotic household. My money is on the former, but I want to be honest with you. I've been wrong about these two before, and anybody who tells you they haven't is selling something. The path that flips the table looks different. It's about to get uncomfortable when Nevaeh Akira reappears in the timeline with a pointed post. She's been notably quiet during the cycle, and the math on that silence doesn't hold forever. Once that hits, the Family Time framing collapses overnight, and the same clips that felt tender this week start playing like receipts. Everybody in that room becomes a witness instead of a co-star. Blueface team, whoever's actually steering him, will scramble. The internal chat about who's on what side of the wall gets loud. And here's the sub-scenario nobody's wargaming publicly. What if Nevaeh doesn't post? What if she just watches? What if her play, quietly advised by whoever's actually managing her, is to let the Cuddle clips accumulate, let the timeline stack the evidence, and hold the pointed post until it has maximum leverage? A birth announcement, a Fight Week countdown, a gospel single release date. Silence, in this ecosystem, is not the absence of a move. Silence is a move. It's arguably the strongest one available to somebody who is not currently being centered. The longer she doesn't post, the more each Cuddle clip becomes a deposit into an account she can withdraw from later. That is not a paranoid read. That is how these cycles have consistently played out, according to entertainment reporters who cover this beat. 5 years out. And this is the one that'll age well. The residue isn't going to be a Blueface story or a Chrisean story. It'll be a format story. This right here, the 24-hour cohabitation stream, the toddler in the frame, the pastor and brawler duality, the gifted subs during a lucidity argument. This is the blueprint the next generation of hip-hop adjacent creators is quietly studying. Every DDG-style stream house, every kick native rap couple, every gospel crossover fighter that pops up between now and 2031 owes something to whatever these two are accidentally engineering right now. The opposition, the traditional media coverage model, the polished sit-down interview cycle, is going to be irrelevant to this demographic by the end of the decade. XXL and Rolling Stone will still cover it. Nobody under 22 will read it there. And I want to be specific about what the format actually is, because format is a word that gets thrown around without a definition. The format is two public figures with pre-existing audiences enter a shared physical space. Agree, implicitly or explicitly, to keep a camera on for extended periods, integrate a child or a pet or a housemate as a permanent variable, alternate conflict and tenderness in a predictable but not scripted rhythm, and monetize both the live minutes and the clipped aftermarket. The format does not require love. It does not require honesty. It does not even require a coherent narrative. It only requires that the two figures keep showing up in the same room, on camera, for long enough that the audience's parasocial attachment compounds. Once that attachment compounds past a threshold, every subsequent hour is pure margin. That is the invention. Chrisean and Blueface did not invent it. Reality TV invented it, but they may be the first to run it entirely without a network, entirely on a platform that pays them directly, and entirely on their own terms. That's the historical asterisk. That's the paragraph that will end up in somebody's dissertation in 2033. The winning side isn't Blueface. It isn't Chrisean. It's the format they're both trapped inside. And the sooner one of them realizes that, the sooner one of them gets free. Or maybe neither of them does. That's also possible. This is the kind of story where the honest forecast has a shrug in it. And I'd rather tell you that than pretend I've got a crystal ball. That's the read. That's the whole read. Nobody's paying to spin it for you. So if it hit, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell. I want to know in the comments whether you're team, it's all a bit, or team, somebody in that house genuinely needs a nap and a therapist. Part 2 of this is loading. Let's go.